Welcome back to the shop. Today we've got several different projects going on. One unexpected project, but what I'm working on right now is I'm gonna start the video series. Honestly, it's probably not gonna be a series. I'll probably just cram it all into one video, but I'm doing one door at a time. So I don't know if you've seen the previous videos, but the doors were replaced on my Jeep over there by Chrysler, FCA, Stellantis, whatever the company is these days. It was replaced under warranty due to the corrosion. The hood and the doors were replaced. They actually let me keep the old doors. So I guess they had no use for corroded doors, but I'm gonna turn these into half doors. They're aluminum, they're light, they're gonna be, they'll salvage my new doors on trails. I won't get, you get the point. I'm not gonna be damaging my new doors. So why not chop these up and try to make them work as half doors? With that said, obviously they took all of the panels, they took the door handles, the latches, the hinges, everything off my old doors to put them on my new doors. So having to buy and source internal parts. So I'm gonna work on one door, see if I can get it to work, because obviously I'm not replacing everything inside this door. I'm just doing enough to make the door handle work, the latches work, and we're gonna lop them off right here. And then, somewhere in this area, I've actually got some mirrors that I had on another set of half doors I had, some Smitty built doors that are super heavy. I'm just not a huge fan of them. So anyway, gonna see what we can do to put this one together. Once I get one built and see that that I can do it, we'll start spending money on the other doors. I sourced some door panels. They were in much better shape. The ones that I bought, got a decent deal. I just got on eBay. The nets weren't all stretched out. They weren't all scuffed up. So I put the new door panels on the new doors of my Jeep. I took the old panels off of those doors, and I've started mocking up and working to get the door latch to work. So as you can see here, I'll do the latch. Got the latch working. I don't know if you've ever looked inside one of these doors, but they've basically got an inner portion and the outer panel. I don't think I'm gonna need the inner panel. I've already figured out a way to use some wire that I have laying around, and it's coated wire, so it's not gonna chafe anything in there. And then basically, I'll show you what I've done. But I've just bought this door handle with the mounting hardware and the rod. So all I need to work, I don't need this lock to work. They're half doors. All I need is the latches to work, the handle to be able to open it from the outside. I'm not worried about insulation or being quiet. Obviously, it's a half door. So I'll show you what I've got here. I've just got 3 bolts, and they're all different bolts. I've got to go buy the right bolts to hold this actual latch in, or technically it's a door latch actuator. This particular one actually came out of my daughter's JK, but it's a similar design, obviously I'm not using keys. I don't care about the remote locks. Again, they're half doors. But basically what I've done is I took this wire, cut it to length. Obviously this is working on a spring, so I just need some slight tension on it until I pull the door lever to open it. And I welded a little piece of bar on there to slide into that piece there, which I'll show you here in a second. And I ran the wire through. This is typically obviously a rod like this that actually clips through here and goes in so it can't be pulled out. I just trimmed the insulation off this wire, fed it through, and then crimped butt-end connector, crimped it on so it can't be pulled out, and then fed it through acting as if it's the rod. And super flexible, can pull from any angle, so you don't have, and again, this being insulated or coated, you don't have to worry about it chafing inside the door, binding or causing any issues. But yeah, basically just drilled a hole in a piece of stock there, piece of bar, and welded the wire inside of it. So that's not coming out. And then rotate it over, and now it can't come out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna get one door mocked up. As long as I don't have any issues with it, we'll start chopping everything off, chopping it down. I'm gonna end up having to cap this probably with a piece of aluminum. I'm not sure if I'm gonna bother trying to grind and TIG weld that in, or if I'm gonna just rivet a piece of aluminum in there to keep, keep honestly, and so I can grind the edges and make them smooth so no one's gonna cut their arm on it or anything. Again, I'm not super concerned about the, cosmetically perfect. This door, in fact, has a big dent in the side of it from the previous owner. So I want functioning half doors that are super light, easy to manage, put on, and pull off to protect the new doors over there. So anyway, we'll keep pressing on, and I'm gonna get this handle installed, and we'll make sure. Obviously, these are not cheap, and if I can source ones that don't have the actual, brain and electronics in it to where you're actually worried about, key fobs and such. I really just need a latch. Honestly, I really just need this portion here, but I also need this here because this is how it opens from the outside. See if we can make this work, and we will see if it's worth spending any more money on these doors. Right now I have about $600 in it. Not this single door, but again, that included the brand new door panels, which didn't need to be replaced on my Jeep, but why not? The nets are all super tight. They look like brand new inside. So wouldn't have done it if I didn't have these half doors, but you have to add it into what it's cost me to actually make these work. So. All right, I'll spin this around so you can see what I'm doing here. Like so. Like so. And then snug these up. All right. Now hopefully I can make this old one work. I'm assuming they work the same way. I don't know if that's gonna line up or not, but we will figure it out here in a second. I mean, it's close. It is super close to working. So if I can find the JK doors, acorns. If I can find the JK latches cheaper than I can find the JLs, I might just use those. Again, just found 3 bolts that fit, but they're all different right now. I'll have to go up to Ace and find some bolts. So that's in there. Yeah, guys, I think this is gonna work. Oh, I think it's gonna work. Wow. That JK latch worked. All right, maybe I'll throw that bolt in there for now, hold it. And obviously, you know, these holes here I'm not worried about. I might cap those off just to make them look nicer. That I might have to shorten that rod to make it work with this latch. That rod looks a little too long. But it opens the door. Yeah, I think you can see here, this is sticking out right here. I think that rod is just a little too long and it's pushing up on the handle. And I forgot to put the seal in there wherever I dropped that. Anyway, there's a door seal. Well, I see it over there. There's a door seal that goes in there. I'll have to put that in. But that rod is gonna have to be shortened. Or I'm gonna have to actually buy the JL latch. I'm not sure I want to do that. It actually has to be lengthened. Which is going to be a little more difficult, as you can imagine. All right, let's see what I can come up with. All right, so these can be adjusted to change the stroke of your latch. So there's just an Allen head bolt in there, and I got plenty of adjustment in here, so I don't have to make any changes to anything. So this is gonna work. I can make the JK latches work. So that's awesome, because I might be able to get those cheaper. I'm gonna put this where I think it might need to go. Actually, I'm gonna mock it up and figure out exactly what length I need. Right there is where I need it. I can't make the adjustment while it's in there. I'm just gonna have to pull it back out, but it stays in place. So. All right, you can see all I have to do is just snug that Allen head up right there. Now let's get this in here, I guess. Yeah, we'll stick it there so I don't lose it. There we go. All right, let's go throw this bad boy on the Jeep and see what happens. All right, I haven't adjusted these hinges yet. And that is apparent. Needs to come up a smidge. All right. The other thing I'm considering is, I don't know, you might be too close for this, but the seal that goes from here, well, actually it wraps all the way around the door, but I'm thinking about, I've got them in my cart. I don't know that I'm gonna buy them. We'll see how much rattle I get. Obviously, with half doors, you're gonna have a whole lot of wind noise anyway, but that rattle you hear is from the inside panel. Man, I think that's gonna work, guys. I don't know, I like it. All right, next process is going to be to figure out where I'm cutting these. I don't know if I'm gonna cut them like that. I don't really want to point up here, I don't think, but I kind of like, I don't know. I gotta figure out where to cut this to make it look right. And if we're going with the inside of the door, it probably needs to be about right here. It's not gonna look the best, but it's gonna serve my purpose. I wish this blade would just go all the way through it, and I'm just gonna follow that best I can. All right, guys, just to get you caught up, I've kind of been working off screen here, mainly because I've been coming out and kind of piddling around in the shop, trying to figure out how I'm gonna accomplish this. But as you can see, I've cut down some pieces of aluminum here to cap these, and I don't have the skill or the equipment to TIG weld these on. The welder that I have is DC only, and I don't think that a spool gun is going to work. It's rather thin aluminum, and I'm gonna damage the paint, and I'm not too worried about the you know, the cosmetics of this thing. However, you know, I don't want to look like complete garbage. I'm considering using like seam sealer to seal it to the door, maybe put a couple of rivets into it just to hold it secure. I kind of feel like that'll be sufficient. So I'm looking at creating some brackets here. The problem is the door is not at 90 degrees. It's kind of at weird angles, and so it's gonna take some work trying to, as you can, I don't know if you can tell from your view there, but because the door's not perfectly perpendicular to the ground, that's gonna cause a big hump in the middle there, possibly come off this. Drilling in here is gonna be a little difficult. But anyway, I'm gonna figure it out and cut down some brackets and see if I can't get a couple of rivets in each one of these. So yeah, as far as the process, obviously I used my bandsaw and just basically capped it with a piece of aluminum, took a Sharpie and kind of made a rough mark, and then took a sander. I got an orbital sander, and I just kind of kept working at it until I got it pretty flush. So I think I can live with that. We'll see how it turns out. All right, guys, I've made a couple of brackets to go down inside here. And I'm gonna see if I can't rivet this guy. You're gonna get metal shavings in your feet. This is my wife's cat. It's wanting to play. I don't know why you're wanting to be so playful. You're gonna get metal shavings in your feet. I don't have the right. Cut it out. Cut it out. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? All right, I've replaced all of my clips here. Had to buy some new ones. I just have to hook up the latch. And quit putting my hand in the seam sealer. Well guys, I hope I can replicate this on the other side, but I've definitely decided that I'm gonna give it a shot. Got to get some trim right here, but that's all this one lacks. Again, yeah, I'm not gonna worry about painting these, I don't think. I mean, I've got a dent there and a big bubble there of corrosion. Got corrosion all down the edge right here. So probably plug this with something. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. All right, as always, thanks for joining me today. Some of you are probably asking why. I get it. The rest of you are probably saying, yeah, that works if you have extra doors laying around, but it's not very cost effective if you don't have the doors laying around. This was mostly to see if one, I could do it, make it look okay and serve my purpose. If you had to pick up an extra set of doors, I'd probably be looking for a Jeep that had been flipped and the tops were maybe crushed, but the bottom halves were good. That might be an option for you. I can guarantee you it's way cheaper than buying the $3,000 to $4,000 half doors, if you can even find them in the color of your Jeep, and wanted to spend that much, which I didn't. Some of you may be asking, you know, what's the point? I think there's a bunch of reasons why you might do something like this. It gives you, if you're a larger guy, it gives you a little more room to kind of squeeze out, check your tires on the trail, look at obstacles from a vantage point. It does give you more visibility up here. While it's not a lot, they'll make room. The other thing it does is, I mean, some of you can't drive around with doors completely off. It gives you another option to open up your Jeep a little bit with the top off. And yeah, for me, it's basically the trail advantage. It's protecting my new doors. And while obviously I didn't have to chop them to use them, I could have just put the old doors on and made the old doors work. Anyway, I've got a few more things to do on this to finish it off. I'm not gonna bore you with the other 3 doors, if I even do the rear doors. My brother actually suggested that I leave the rear doors intact and just make them work to protect these. But we'll see. I mean, if I'm gonna invest the money, I might as well invest the time to make them look uniform. Anyway, please like, subscribe, share, and comment below. Leave your comments. It helps me out. I'm trying to grow my channel here. I'm trying to improve. I know my videos, they definitely started out rough. I've had a few comments as of late that they're getting a little better. I'm still working on it. I don't have a lot of time to invest in this. The more my channel grows, maybe the more time I can invest in creating content. But again, please comment below. I don't care, leave negative comments. Any comment helps. So take care until next time. Have a good one.